Hello, hello, my beautiful friends, beautiful, soulful humans inside Just Channel. Today is definitely more heavy on the running late to class, turning in homework last minute. But in this world of channeling, in this world of trusting your gifts and winging it, showing up no matter what, right? No matter what being the main determination of how you show up. So you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do it right. You don't have to have all the answers. You get to just show up and just channel. So today's work is going to be pretty significant. We are going to start with some more stories. And we're going to start with feeling the difference. Because today's subject of today's masterclass, today's part 2, day 2, is channeling for others. And channeling for others puts this enormous pressure on you to be right about the answers that you don't know where they're coming from. Hello, Shalene. It's so good to see you. So, it puts tremendous pressure on you to be right about things you don't even know. And I left my coffee in the other room. Oh well, it's gonna be all right. So, hey Casey, it's so good to see you. So I wanna share, before we get in there, here's what my homework looks like. I did that when this clock said 6:03 and I was like, oh, time to start the masterclass. Oh, I didn't do my homework. Let me do my homework. Which is kind of how I was in school, to be honest with you. But the thing about channeling is that pressure or no pressure, last minute or not last minute, on the bus, on the couch, in the car, at the gym, going for a walk, no matter what, no matter where or how, you always get to channel. So as long as you make it, as long as you show up, you get it. So me showing up after the homework is supposed to be turned in does not diminish the channeling. So let me read to you what I have channeled. This is yesterday's homework. And like I said, don't compare your channeling to mine. The thing is, there's nothing to compare. There's no two channelings that are exactly like. Now, on the level that I'm on, through all the fine-tuning and clarifying and showing up and getting to trust deeper, on the level that I'm on with my channeling, the crazy thing is, and the fascinating thing is that I have a few mentors that release these programs that I'm part of, that I learn from. And oftentimes, what I have channeled within my work, whether for a client or for myself or within my business, I will hear that same message presented differently through the channel of my mentors. And that's what we want. Okay, that's what we want. When you channel a message and then the universe confirms it, you channel something about a butterfly and you see one, right? You channel something about, and there's a number comes up in your dream and then you see the number. That's what we're looking for, because the more confirmation you have when you're channeling, the deeper the what, the deeper the trust. Because now you see confirmations, you're like, that must be something. Hey Stacy, it's so good to see you. Okay, so let me read you what I channeled today when this masterclass day 2 was supposed to already be in session. Very late, very last minute, not even past the last minute. But here's what came through. I am that I am. I sometimes that's the first phrase that my channeling starts with. It's been a while since I did automatic writing, because I get to channel so much now in my work and everything I do, everything I write, everything I create, that it doesn't occur to me as often as it used to go and sit and channel just for me in the notebook. But this was really good. This felt really amazing. Okay, I am that I am. Receiving through unconditional surrender and becoming one with the source in the moment of trusting clarity, exceeding the restrictions of time and speed, surpassing duality, and navigating infinite consciousness. Believe, expect, allow. The extent of disallowing, we're going to talk about that. The extent of disallowing is lessened by the willingness to surrender and let go. Gratitude is a medium of energetic calibration to the desired degree of being an energetic match for your desires. This is a lot. This is very dense language. And when I really channel like this, the guides that I work with, they're not really concerned for it sounding like it makes sense, because they know I'm not really channeling it for others. I'm channeling for myself, and I will understand. And I do. I understand everything that I just read. But it takes a moment to understand it for me going over it. And I go like, wow, okay. So we will revisit this channel text towards the end of this day 2 of the masterclass. So let's just bench it. We channeled it. We wrote it down. We put it aside. We maybe couldn't help ourselves and read it once and went like, ooh, what is that? And we're like, you know what? I'm not going to worry about that right now. I'm going to revisit this when I have a break. Okay, welcome to day 2. I see 14 beautiful humans in here watching me live. How amazing is that? 15, what? Welcome everyone. So I have a little structure for today, but as it goes, it will be channeled. So yesterday, I was planning on channeling yet another unit for my tarot course, and instead I ended up doing some research. Hey Tanya, good to see you. Research, what kind of research? I was watching Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And if you're familiar with Harry Potter, that is movie number 1 in the series. It's also book number 1. Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone, whatever. There are 2, I guess, different renditions. So I love Harry Potter. I've loved Harry Potter since I was a little girl, and that's not what we're going to be talking about today. But we will be talking about a concept that exists in Harry Potter. So Harry, just to give you an example, if you don't really know, if you're like, it's just a bunch of kids, being wizards, right? That kind of, exactly. Joanne loves Harry Potter. I love that. I love that so much. That whole world. I just love the world. So, and I didn't bring that thing to show too. Anyway, I have a wand from Harry Potter. Because when I was in high school here in the United States, we had a trip to a conference for teenagers who are interested in business, and I was extremely interested in studying business. And so I was competing, and I placed, which means I got advanced to the next level. And so I was invited to go to the school trip to Florida, where there's Disneyland and Universal Studios, and we went to Universal Studios, and Universal Studios has Harry Potter World. So from the movies, from the books, there's all the things. A lot of the things, including the magic wand shop. And so last night, Kayla, so good to see you. Kayla's daughter loves Harry Potter. That's awesome. So last night, so you've seen the movies, I'm sure. So last night, I'm watching Harry Potter and the Sorcerer/Philosopher's Stone. And this is where Harry finds out he's a wizard, and he's like a little kid, a little boy who's had a pretty hard life. And his family's mean to him, and he's just like very unfair. And he doesn't have any parents. He's living with his uncle and aunt, and they're super mean. And so he just finds out that he's a wizard, and he gets invited to this wizard school, and he's like, what? This was reminding me of this masterclass where you're like, okay, I have a channel. What do you mean I have a channel? I have a channel, like for real? Can I use it? What can I use it for? Hey Rose, it's good to see you. So Harry's just like, what? Magic school? Are you kidding me? And hey D, it's good to see you. And so he's with this giant Hagrid, this big giant guy, who is like taking care of him and making sure he gets everything he needs to go to the magic school. And he's like finding all the things he needs, the books, the owl. The owls distribute letters in that world. He gets his own owl, which is really cute. Anyway, and then he goes and he picks out a magic wand. But that's not quite the process. That's not quite the process. The magic wand picks you. And Harry's like a little boy. He doesn't know much about the magic world. He just found out he's a wizard. He kind of had some weird experiences happen, but not much. And so he's just standing there. He's like, how does this happen? And the guy who runs the magic wand shop goes, well, it's like you pick a wand that you want to check it out, right? You hold it, and it, if it chooses you, you know. But if it doesn't, you also know, because it just, there is nothing. Hey, beauty, it's so good to see you. Okay. So Harry's like, okay, so in the book, from what I remember, and I read the book when I was like maybe 8 or 9, so it's been about 20 years since I read the book. But from what I remember, Harry goes through a very long process of, he tries a bunch of different wands and they all don't work. And they're like going through basically the whole store. And the store is stacked ceiling to floor with the wands, and they're just trying all of them until one clicks. And then there's like, story continues, the plot thickens. There's something about his wand that is connected to other things. But the wand picks him, and he tries the ones he likes. And then from what I remember, he starts trying just any of them, because at this point it's like too long of a process. But the wand does not do the magic. The wand is conduit for the magic. And I was having this like deja vu last night, because going to this Universal Studio thing as a teenager, there's the replica of the store, and there's the replica of all the wands, and the you can pick out the wand that it belongs to a character you like, or there's a bunch of other ones that are like magical elements, or they represent, supposedly they have these magical elements, but it's, it's like a toy store basically. And I remember being like a teenager and being a fan of Harry Potter. I stood there and I looked through all the wands in the wall, and it is like ceiling to floor in this replica Universal Studios little store, right, in the Universal Studios world in Florida. And I was like looking at all the wands, and then there was a character, there was a connection, a very rare character, a character that there isn't much known about her, but she spoke to me somehow. I saw her wand, and I was like, let me try this one. And I grabbed it and I held it. I was like, that's a beautiful, beautiful wand. I think I'm going to get that one. And I was just having this flashback, and I was feeling this intense kind of like channeling coming through, like something's there, something's important. And I was having a flashback through reading the books, watching the movie, picking out a wand that I actually happen to have, and thinking about this masterclass. And I'm like, what's the common thread? Like, why is this connecting so much? Why is there a deja vu? And so what I discovered was there is the story, not Luna, not, could be, but not, could be, but not. But good guess. Anyway, so I was like, there's something here. And I remembered, and I'm not gonna, if you want to check out Harry Potter, you can. It's a beautiful world, beautiful world. Just love it for adults, kids, just anyone. But I'm not going to tell you all the plots and twists, because that would take too long. But there is a point, like a flash forward. There is a point later in the books and the movies where there is no wand. There is no wand. And the character has to decide, like, do I still have the magic? I don't have the wand. I don't have the wand. Do I still have the magic? And there's this remembrance, because Harry was, this main character, Harry Potter, there's this dark entity that attempted to kill him as a little baby, and it didn't happen. And he didn't have any wand. He was a little infant. But somehow his magic backfired. And so the spell didn't work. So there is this concept, this underlying message that is back in the background of Harry Potter stories. That the wand is very important, and the wand selects you. The way that your gifts show up, and who you are delivering your gifts, who you are channeling, who you are with your stories also channeling, who are you in this? It is significant. But the magic is not defined by the wand. And when there is no wand, the magic still is. I remember in these Harry Potter stories, there's at some point, and I don't remember where exactly, but there's this mention that there used to be these great magicians, the greatest magicians of all time, that never used the wands. And the characters go like, what do you mean didn't use the wands? Like, we each have a wand. they didn't need the wands? What do you just like, they would just like do magic? And it's like, yeah, but if they lived a long time ago and it's like the magic has been changed, it's lost, it's different now we need the wands. So this whole story, the reason I'm bringing this up is that today we're going to look at the wands. We're going to look at different mediums of using your channeling gifts. And there's plenty of them. And there is a huge variety of them, okay? From the cards to tarot cards. Oops, things just fell off my desk. That's all right. From the cards, like the oracle cards, to tarot cards, to... I have too many cards on the table right now. That's why things are falling off. If you would have seen this stack, it's crazy. So from a lot of cards to runes to tea, coffee, you can use anything, numbers, numerology, I Ching, or whatever it's called, the Chinese, Asian, Oriental method of divining the deep truths. There is something that I just am fascinated and I study, but don't practice because I don't feel like I can. But I'm so fascinated, I just like study for the sake of learning, which is this tradition, this storytelling / divination tradition. It's called Dilagun. I'm not claiming that I'm pronouncing that right. That goes to African deities, the 7 African powers and orishas, and the lore that exists in that. Extremely complex. It's using cowrie shells and the way that they fall when you throw them, mouth open or mouth closed, how many, which way, determines a chapter of the story that you got to remember, that's generationally transferable from the knower to from the practitioner to practitioner, usually requiring a lifetime commitment since early age, where you know all these stories, you know all these chapters, all these books, and you're able to recall a lore that speaks to the person, then you're able to interpret it in a way that's relevant to the person who's asking. It's extremely complex. It's just fascinating, the most beautiful thing ever. I can't practice it. I just don't have the enough anything for that. I'm just fascinated by it. So there's so many different ways to use your channeling gifts, tools, so many different magic wands to pick from, and the wand picks you. It's just like Harry Potter. It was such a huge, like, it just clicked. I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what it is. Okay, so the method picks you because you experience it, you try different ones, and then the one that you just like, it's something in it. I know I need to know this. I know I want to use this. I know this speaks to me. This feels good doing this. There's the pendulum. There is an Ouija board, which I do not recommend. I don't have one. I don't want one, and I don't want to use it. It's the way that it was designed, in my opinion, is designed with intent to bring forces that have no place being here. I just feel it. I think it was designed with a malicious intent as a tool. It wasn't designed as a neutral tool. That's what I feel. So I might be wrong, but for me, I know I'm right. So if you ask me, Katerina, should I get an Ouija board? I would say no. I have one. Should I try something? I would say no. But it's up to you. But I would say don't go there. I've had conversations with people who have used it safely and had good experiences. I respect that. That's just not where I would take my personal practice or have the responsibility of making that recommendation, okay? So there is plenty of different tools, plenty. But the thing is, the moment you become attached to the tool and you can't channel if you don't have the tool, you're making the magic about the magic wand. You're thinking the magic is in the magic wand. So you're giving the wand too much power. And then it becomes a circumstantial power. It becomes a circumstantial thing. Well, yeah, I can only channel when I have my cards. I can only channel when I have my runes. I can only channel when I do this or do that. And then it's like, okay, then sometimes you don't want to pull cards. Sometimes you don't want to use runes. Sometimes you just don't feel the tool, right? So what do? Do you just not? But channeling is unconditional. And the more you show up, the more you receive, and the more you receive, the deeper you trust. So if it becomes about the tool, you trust the tool. And it's like this circumstantial thing. So I will walk you through some of my personal storytelling, because I want you to feel the difference between circumstantial, conditional channeling capabilities and no matter what channeling capabilities. And we're not just going to talk about channeling. We're not just going to talk about, the intense sigh like yesterday, like the types of things. That's a little more yesterday. Now we're talking about channeling for others, right? So how do you channel for others without becoming attached to the tool? How do you not make it about the tool? How do you not give the tool all the power? And how do you keep the power within? And how can you still channel no matter what, even when you're not feeling in alignment with the tool? So these are the questions. So I want to start with first story. First story, there's going to be 3. Okay, so today's probably not going to be as long as yesterday, just letting you know, because I want to stay on point, and I want us to really focus and feel the difference. And that's the main point of today's session. Okay, so the first story is public speaking. Public speaking is a huge channeling arena, and so is writing, and so is painting, and so is dance, and so is all the arts. So my mother is an amazingly gifted artist, and she's been channeling these paintings that blow your mind. She also does the paintings that are not so much channeled. The colors maybe are, but the structure is kind of predetermined. But her like wild wall length, brilliant genius paintings that are so complex, like they are channeled, because you can't come up. So there is a difference. So the story is, I'm going to use public speaking because I mentioned yesterday, your channeling preferences and the tools you like and the things you want to do with your channeling is a little bit determined by human design. Yes, if you know that. If you don't know that, a little bit by your zodiac sign, your astrological chart, like who are you more? What energy are you in more? Is it more physical? Is it more mental? Is it more emotional? Is it more creative? So fiery, right? So for me, it's more mental, it's more air. So I'm naturally more claircognizant, meaning I get these downloads and I can see everything like right as soon as it's there. And it's also verbal. So I'm very like automatic writing works really well for me. Speaking works well for me, but it didn't start like this. So I want to talk to you. I want to talk you through this journey and the difference in there. So public speaking was something that I really wanted to master since I was young age, not because I naturally liked it. I didn't really feel like I had the presence, the looks, the wherewithal. For example, like I was trying to compete in these science projects, but I really didn't understand science that well. I just wanted to get better at public speaking. And so my presentations were like, what are you talking about? Kids are like showing advanced science projects, and I'm talking about like something pretty basic. And I just wanted to experience what it would be like to present. And so I was in plays, and because like maybe the way I look, or I was taller than all the other kids, I would usually just get some very odd role. But I just wanted to experience what it's like to be on stage. And did it scare me? It did. Did it also kind of suck? It did. But I wanted to learn. And so when I came to United States, some of you know English is not my first language. Some of you can tell. Let's be honest. But when I came to United States, I could not really speak English. And even though my dad's American, he didn't speak English all that much to me growing up. We kind of spoke Russian at home. So even though he wasn't really good at that, it was still the case. So when I came to the United States, it was basically the level of like, yes, no, thank you, goodbye, and hello. And that's it. I understood, okay, because we studied it in school, but I couldn't really speak. And speaking is crucial to me. Not only that, I couldn't really write. And I write a lot of journals. You guys will notice they're all in moleskins. I'm not a snob, but I like how they stack up because I have a stack of all my journals. So some of them are lined, some of them are blank, but I've been keeping journals basically my whole life. And writing is something how I express myself. Language, as I mentioned, language. Okay, so language was missing. okay? Because I couldn't really express myself well enough in English to write in my journal, let alone speak to others, let alone be on stage. So I was trying. I was in the school newspaper, I was in the drama thing, and I dropped out of both because my English just wasn't there yet, and I felt really frustrating, and hearing myself speak was just like yikes, like sounded like I'm fresh off the boat, and I didn't like sounding like that. So I was having a hard time. Like the reason for the events is that it wasn't flowing, like it wasn't something that was good already. That wasn't something that was a natural born gift. But what I decided is that I'm going to learn it. I'm going to master public speaking. And I went to college, two-year college, tech school, and I chose to study human resource management. And as a semi business major, they had an elective option of like, you can take some public speaking classes if you want to take that route. And I was like, yes, I do. So I took this public speaking course. I signed up for Toastmasters, which is this public speaking international club where you can basically show up and practice public speaking, practice listening, practice evaluating, practice keeping time, all of these things. Very, very good organization. Been a member for quite a few years. Not currently, but recommend if that's what you want to work on. Public speaking, Toastmasters is really good. Anyway, here's what happened. I took the public speaking course, and the professor said, don't memorize the speech. Like if you start this course and you memorize your speech word to word, and you can have these like little cards, note cards, where you're like kind of like this, right? And you can just like look up and see the word to keep your thought back on track. He's like, yeah, write like big, bold, one word cards that just keep you on track. Don't memorize the speech. You're gonna hurt yourself because there's going to be speech that you like really need to give in real life, and you're not going to have time to write it and memorize it, and you're going to freak out. And I don't want you to learn that. I want you to get comfortable speaking on stage. And I was like, this guy, like, oh, of course I'm going to memorize everything. I was like, no way. I'm going to be just like ad-libbing on stage. I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to nail this class. I'm going to be the best public speaker in this class. And I actually managed to do really well because I memorized every single speech. I would write it out. You guys, the craziest process. You're like, how do you write out a speech and how do you memorize it? I will tell you how. It takes a long time. So what I would do is I would write it by hand. Then I would type it on the computer. Then I would print it. Then I would highlight all the words and speak through it. I would read it 10 times in a row. And I kept repeating to myself on the 10th time, when I finish reading it for the last time, I will have memorized the entire speech. And it was so hard reading it for the last of the 10 times, but it was I was like, there is no way I'm not going to. It was like such a, like, I will memorize all my speeches no matter what. So I would read it for the last time. It was the hardest time reading it for the 10th time, right? Because I'm like, I'm never going to see this text again. I got to know all the words. And I would close it and I would remember it. And I would repeat it many times. I would record myself saying it. I would listen to myself saying it. It took way too many hours for one class. It was like taking me hours and hours. And I was so stubborn, so persistent. Like, not going to let myself just speak whatever. I'm going to memorize. I'm going to be the perfect student here. And I did that. And I got A's because I would like make the pauses and say the things like I was speaking it from my mind, but I was memorized every single word. And my note cards looked like just teeny tiny script writing where I would just like run through real quick and remember the whole speech. It was crazy. The pressure that I felt performing, it was like, wow. Hey, Taylor. It was just like, ugh. I need to be the best. I need to be perfect. I'm so prepared. It's now or never right now. This is not the channeling energy. This is the opposite. So what happened at the end of this class? I got an A. The professor came up to me the very last time. He's like, you did amazing. The last speech you were definitely not supposed to memorize. I memorized the whole thing. I made sure to make it look like I'm just speaking from my heart, but it was memorized 100%. And he came up to me and he said, you have the highest grade in my class. And I don't like giving high grades unless it's deserved. And I was like, wow, thank you. And he was like, you got a grade for your memory. This is not the grade for public speaking. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you memorized all your speeches. The way that you make eye contact, the way that you run through the room with your eyes, the way that you pause to make it look like you're pulling, something from, I know I've taught this class for the last 20 years. Like, who do you think you're fooling? Like, you memorized every single speech. And I want to acknowledge you have a really good memory, and you're probably a pretty stubborn person because you decided to do it this way. So that's you did it. He was like, but you're gonna have a hard time being a speaker because you can't trust yourself and you refuse to. And I was like, oh wow, well thanks. He's like, yeah, but you got an A. Hey, that's the good thing, right? But you can't expect to be a good speaker like this. And I was like, damn it. What do I do? So this is not channeling. Memorizing, prepared, figured out, got perfect answers. It's not channeling. And even though I did it so I thought perfectly, and I even got a really good grade, the person who knows, the person who's listening, the person who's watching, they know they know you memorized it. They know it's been a polished speech. They know that you've prepared. They know that you're about to pitch them. They know that you're about to say something that you've prepared and rehearsed. You can't fool that any person around that. And can you still kind of get the result? Yes, but it's never really channeling. You never really trust yourself. So going forward, okay, what happened was there were a few times where in Toastmasters, I was prompted to just speak. Like a speaker wouldn't show up and I would just have to speak. And I sucked. It was awful because I had no preparation. And I didn't, instead of developing trusting myself, I developed memorizing. So when I couldn't prepare and memorize, I had this like paralysis. Like, I don't know what to say. I haven't memorized anything. I haven't prepared anything. And then I would self-sabotage on purpose. I would write a whole speech and I'd be like, I'll rehearse. And then last minute, I'd be like, you know what? I'm not going to rehearse. I'm just going to say it the way that I remember it. And I also sucked because, again, I didn't trust myself. I'm like, I should have just memorized it. I would have had the stellar performance. Everyone would have been so impressed. But that's not the point. The point is impressed. Okay. Looking like, wow, this girl can rehearse her speeches. All right. What does that do? The connection is what was missing. The connection is what was missing. Huge pause here. When you're doing a reading for someone else, when you're channeling for someone else, it's not what you say. It's how connected are you to them. Here. Are you talking at them? Are you trying to figure out what it is that they need to hear and know? Are you trying to see how can I best present it so I seem like I got it together? That's not channeling. That's performance. And performance does nothing other than, yeah, that girl's really good at memorizing. Wow. Good for her. Did you remember what the speech was about? Not really. I mean, it sounded like it was rehearsed. So I didn't really listen because it's just like, she did pretty good though. I guess. I just couldn't really catch it though. I just didn't feel the connection. The connection comes from connection. The connection does not come from rehearsal. The connection comes from connection. Okay, so another little story here. Tarot. I started the world of tarot. Hold on one second. We got a comment. Speech when I was in school. Yeah, well, it's because you feel like you do need to perform, especially when you're presenting an assignment. But public speaking to people like I'm speaking to you right now, I can't rehearse for this because who knows who's going to ask what and how is this going to flow and go and what's going to happen. I don't know. I have a structure, yes. I made some notes in advance, yes, because I want to stay on track. So staying on track, the next point I want to visit is tarot cards, okay? Tarot cards, it's my medium. It's what I prefer to use in readings with clients. It's what I also teach. Also another comment, needed to hear this, been avoiding Facebook Live like a plague. Yeah, that's exactly where I'm going with this. Facebook Live like a plague when I really want to share my message. Yes, okay, so there is, and I'm going to do my best to share it in the group, but I got to find it first. So there's no guarantee because I don't remember the name of the post. But there's a post, the live from me from like 3 years ago. And it sounds freaking crazy. I am actually channeling there. And the way it was received, some people that I knew in my town that came up to me, they were like, I don't know what that was. And I'm like, I don't know either. I don't know either. It's just like, it's a thing. I'm just experimenting with Facebook Lives. But the thing is, like, it's channeled, and it's like I'm separating my human self, and I'm saying, I'm connecting to this like God presence within, this divine essence. And I set my human aside, and it's just like I was trying to put it into words, and I was channeling the words, and I was wearing makeup. I look put together, but it sounds wired, weird, out of the norm, because at the time I was living another kind of life, and I was like presenting myself to be this like together normal person, and it was so outside of my comfort zone. But it was something that hey, I channel. Now you look at my content, I do something like this, you're like, of course she's the psychic coach girl, she's the channeling girl, right? So it makes sense. But when you're a girl running around town pretending to be someone you're not, and all of a sudden you're like channeling, people are like, what the hell is wrong with you? And at the time, my network was not what it is now. So I wasn't connected to like-minded individuals. I was just connected to basically every person in town that was anywhere close to making any kinds of decisions about marketing and things like that. So completely different audience. But you just got to start. It's going to be weird. It's going to be weird and awkward, just like with the public speaking. There is no way around that. And you're here on day 2, learning how to channel for others. The best way to channel for others is like this. When someone shows up and goes like, hey, what's going on? I have this, I have that. And you channel for them, and you practice, and you give value, you receive value. It's happening in the way where others can look and view this and have this experience as well, even though they're not having the direct experience, they're observing the experience. Is the best thing ever. But just like speaking, which is involved, which is also part of channeling, you can't rehearse that. You can't have answers in advance. Okay. So the magic wand, okay, back to the magic wand. So the tool, the magic wand, or whatever tool you use, whether it be cards or runes or numbers or pendulums, there's so many, okay, so many. Let's talk about the cards, because, okay, so I started developing the public speaking by I realized I gotta just go impromptu. So I started going to Toastmasters and just basically trolling them with like, we don't have a speaker tonight. Who wants to speak? Me. Oh, we have an opening next week. Who wants to speak? Me. And I didn't have a subject to speak about. I was like really pushing myself every time. I didn't have any topic to talk about. I was not prepared. I have no idea what to say. Super stressful. Like I'm going into a meeting. I'm expected to make a presentation, a speech, and I have no idea what I'm even slightly going to talk about. And that was scary as hell. And that also taught me, because I would start talking mumbo jumbo and everyone's tuning out. And I'm like, how do I make them tune in? Because like, I'm not speaking anything. I didn't prepare. I don't have a point to make. So now everyone's tuning out on their phone, whatever. And I would be like, I felt an immediate heartbreak last week when this happened. And everyone's like, what? What is she talking about? And I was like, okay. So something happened to me that caused me emotion. And now they relate. Okay. And I had the most mind-altering realization standing on top of that mountain. Everyone's like, what? Where? What mountain? Where is she going? What's the story? There is no story. I realized the connection is created when someone cares about what you're talking about, and you can't know what people care about until you show up and you start talking. And then when you're hitting something that's gold, something that's significant, the connection starts happening and you feel it and you go with it. But there you can't learn that until you start showing up. Then I started doing the lives. I did the lives for several years, like 3 years, random lives, not selling anything, not doing anything, sometimes channeling, not even pulling cards, just talking, just so I could get over myself, wondering what I look like or what I sound like or what people think, just to get over myself. So that's public speaking. The cards, Tarot cards. Tarot is an organized structure. Tarot is an organized system of meanings. So when you learn tarot, and this is something I teach in my course, when you learn tarot, you learn a system. It isn't random. There is a science to it. There is a flow. There is a connection. There is a logic behind it. It is designed in a certain way. There's so many things to understand. But the trap that I fell into with tarot is that it's a system. So it was bringing me back to this kind of speaking where I was like, let me write the speech according to what a celebratory commencement speech should sound like. What would a giving awards speech sound like? And I would take the formulas and I would fill in the blanks, basically write the speech, and I would memorize it. So tarot actually felt like that, especially when I started studying it. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I can memorize all the 78 meanings times 2, because upright reversed changes the meaning. So I can memorize 156 meanings. I do have pretty good memory. And then I can just pull the cards and tell whatever I remember. And I did that. And then I would drag all the books around because I could not trust them. I'm like, I gotta have the books. I gotta look up the meaning just in case I have forgotten. And then I realized, what am I doing? This means nothing. I'm just, okay, here's this card. Great gratitude. Great gratitude means that you are supposed to be grateful for everything in life and everything's going to be great. Okay. Thanks, Katerina. That means absolutely nothing to me. I mean, that's a good restatement of what gratitude definition is on Google, but it doesn't really do anything for me. So I fell into that trap with tarot because I was giving the tool, the magic wand, all the power. And my recollection of meanings meant more than channeling. And so when we use a tool, whether it be tarot or oracle cards are easier because they're more designer based. So every deck has meanings that the author wants them to have. There is no specific system. They're all very different. So you find a deck you like, you kind of get familiarized with it. It's easier to use than tarot, technically. Tarot can be a little deeper. But whether it's tarot or whether it's oracle cards, you got to realize the tool does not define your magic. Your human does not define your channel. Okay, so the tool that you use is then what? It's an amplifier, it's a medium, it's a direction, okay? Direction of channeling. Can I channel just as is? For a while I couldn't. For others, not really. I had an experience with someone I was briefly dating that was kind of interested in this, and he asked me like if I could channel something for him, and I said, well, I don't really do it like that, but let me try. I mean, we'll see what happens. And something came through and he was like in tears and he was like, what is this? And I'm like, I don't really know, but I guess it works. So, but I wasn't really practicing it without the cards. But what I realized is I wasn't even practicing it with the cards. Because now I'm very much concerned only as to what the card means. And that's it. And it's like, yeah, but I understand. But what does it mean for me? People would ask me. Not clients. I wasn't even taking clients yet. It wasn't professional. But it was like, but what? Okay, I understand. But what does it mean for me? And I'm like, I don't know. You figure that out. I don't know. But channeling is going beyond the tool. It's going beyond writing the speech and memorizing it. It's going beyond looking at the card and knowing the meanings of it. It's like, okay, I know how I would want to structure the speech, but what do I actually want to say and why? And how do I connect with people to make them care about my point? How does it apply to them? You've got to ask yourself these questions with speaking. How does it serve another person? How did it serve me? What is this about? Why is this important? And if it's not, and if it can't serve anyone else, and if it's something you haven't worked through and you haven't integrated and you don't really even know, then maybe that's not the subject. But so that's channeling through speaking. Channeling with the cards, you gotta let go of the cards a little, okay? And so what I started doing with my tarot practice is I stopped dragging around these piles of books with all the meanings. There came a point where I was like, I can't look at another book on tarot, not for a while. And I will just trust what I know. In every given moment, I will trust what comes through at every given moment. And I will deliver what comes through at every given moment. So tarot, studying tarot, understanding tarot, helps you understand humanity, helps you know thyself. So I would highly recommend it. I do have a fantastic, phenomenal course for that. But the tool does not define the channel. And when you learn tarot and you understand tarot, the goal is to not stay limited to the meanings, but to go beyond the meanings and connect with the message that's coming through with the card, okay? To hold the magic, to hold the power. Now, this is not all I wanted to talk about today. There is something big that we haven't touched on. Okay. I want to talk about the extent to which you disallow the channel. The extent to which you disallow the channel. So yesterday we had this analogy about the murky water and how your channel can kind of be like that when you don't really tap into it very often and you tap in and something comes through, but it's kind of like muffled or it's murky. It's not very clear. You can't really drink it. You can't really benefit from it yet because it's just not clear enough, right? So your channel is murky to the extent that you disallow it. The extent to which you disallow it. What that means is the extent to which you want to stay with your human consciousness. The extent to which you want to control your environment and control the channel. The extent to which you wanted to say what you wanted to say and you want to hear what you want to hear. And the extent to which you're not willing to look at the things that you might want to look at if you tap into the channel. So the extent to which you disallow is defined often by the tool. How hard will you fight for writing that speech so you can memorize it and you can sound perfect? That's just my example. How much will you fight for it? Like, I want to be a coach, but I got to do some courses. I got to get that certification so bad. Why? I don't know. I just have to have something to prove to me that I can do this. The extent to which you will fight, like, I gotta have the definitions of these cards. Don't tell me to just look at the card and channel. I want to know that meaning first. I want to know the answer first. I want to look it up first. Why? Because I need to know. I need to be right. Why? So that you can be safe. From what? That's where we're going next. So, value versus evidence. This is huge. For some of you who already channel for others, even professionally, this is huge. Okay, the value versus the evidence. Listen to this, and if you are taking notes, this would be the only thing to write down today. Actually, two things. Number one, the extent to which you disallow the channel. You put it that way so that every time the channel is a little off or it's like not connecting, you see that phrase and you realize, okay, it's the extent to which I disallow it that makes it murky. So how can I allow deeper? What can I do to connect to myself deeper so I can just allow, so I can just be a receiver? That's it. Not an interpreter, not a controller, but a receiver. Okay, the extent to which you disallow the channel defines how murky your channel is. But if you can just write down the extent to which I disallow the channel, just that. Incomplete sentence will make you think every single time you see it. Okay, the next thing to write down is the true value versus the evidence. The true value versus the evidence. Write that down, okay? Here's the next, you'll have to start writing down immediately, but here's what's coming. You are not personally responsible for the message, but you are responsible for delivery. You are not personally responsible for the message, but you are responsible for delivery. the true value versus evidence. Okay, so what does all this mean? The true value versus evidence means the value of the pure channel, the value of channeling, outweighs being right. How does that work? Well, imagine this. You're going into being a professional reader, right? Or a channel. And you have a client and you're going to channel for them. You're going to do a reading for them. Don't you want to be right about your reading? And that's where we have these fortune teller situations where it's like, I want to be true. I want to be right about your future. It's not your future. It's not your future to be right about. So don't even go into the future. Can you connect with the present moment? Can you tap into what's going on with them really? And can you channel? Yeah, I can channel, but I want to be right. I want to say something and they go like, how did you know? I want to do that. It's not up to you. Because sometimes you will tap into that and they will be like, how did you know? And sometimes you will tap into something else and they're like, I really don't want to hear that. It might be true, but I don't want to hear that. Well, you're channeling, so you're not personally responsible for the message. But I want you to connect with this. You are responsible for delivery. And there are many ways that you can deliver a channeled message. Many ways. One of them is kind. Now, sometimes I have messages coming up for the client where it's like, it's not nice. I mean, it is what it is. There is some work that needs to be done because it's like showing up that there's a pattern or something where it's like always the same. So I'm not going to tell them, keep doing what you're doing. You got this. Because that's not channeling. That's me wanting to be like, oh, yeah, thank you so much for being such a good reader. I always love your readings because you always tell me that I'm the best and I got everything right. I'm not really, I can't claim to be a channel then. I'm just a ass kisser, basically. I don't do that. Okay, so how though? Do I tell them, oh, hey, you're screwed. You messed up. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. You got to switch it up, sister. No. They're going to be like, no, thanks. That's very mean. I'm never going to get another reading from you again. Thanks for being an ass. I'm not going to do that. But I will tell them the truth. I'm not responsible for the message. I'm not. I can't control it. It is what it is. I see what I see. It is what it is. I got to be truthful because I claim to be doing this work. I claim to be in integrity with being a channel. So I must deliver what I genuinely channel. But how? What if it's a mean message? What if something's off? What if not good? What if it's not good news? What if it's like, hey, you got to look in the mirror here. You're blaming everyone else. You're not seeing the truth of what you're doing. What if that's the kind of message? How do you deliver that? Delivery is what you're responsible for. The message, no. Delivery, yes. Now, my delivery, and this is something that I chose throughout doing readings for others, many readings, and especially online, is I choose to focus on growth. So if there's a message that's saying you're not really on the right track, or something's off, or you're not acknowledging your own fault, or you're not really doing the thing, or you're not really showing up, or you're outsourcing your power to everyone else and expecting everyone else to do the thing for you. If it's something like this, I choose to wrap it as a lesson where the person can do something with it. I don't ever want to feel someone like, well, sucks for you. Next. I don't ever want someone to be like, well, now what? I don't want anyone to ever feel like, well, this is bad and I have no idea what to do. Because that's not the legacy I want to create. Now, the darker undercurrents of like, okay, this person really needs to do the work. Now, if you tell them, you're great and awesome and the universe loves you, and there's like work that has been shown to you through the channel and you choose to not disclose it, you're taking that energy onto yourself and it's not yours to carry. Your job is to be a channel. You're not responsible for the message, but you are responsible for the delivery. So how can you make the delivery useful? And here is, you didn't think it makes sense? Now it makes sense. Okay, the true value versus evidence. The true value. What is the true value of the message? Ask yourself this. If I was the client and the message was coming from me, how would I deliver it to myself so I could do something with it? So I can use it somehow to improve myself or grow or evolve or do something, right? How would I use it as an inspiration, motivation, a lesson? What would be the value in it? Ask yourself that. The delivery. That's the delivery. Now, value versus evidence. What is evidence? Evidence that you're right. Evidence that you're liked. Evidence that you're the best reader out in the world, the best channeler. If I tell this person they're amazing and gorgeous and they just got it all, they're probably going to give me a good review. Yeah, but how is that going to help them? What's the true value of the exchange? Okay, if I tell this person the truth, but I make it valuable, I make it a lesson, maybe they're not going to like it. Maybe they won't. It has happened to me. Maybe they won't. But guess what? Guess what? It doesn't define you, and it doesn't define your channel. And your channel is what it is. And the more you trust it and the more you take it at the face value, the more you focus on value versus proof, evidence. Evidence that you're so great, evidence that you're right, evidence that you can see all the things, evidence that you know all the things, evidence that you are so all over on point. When we look for evidence, it's ego. When you're on stage speaking the most hardcore speech, and I had this conversation with my own coach because he's also a speaker. You know, he's like, when I'm sharing something and it has me nervous and I don't know how I'm going to deliver it, and then I deliver the whole speech and there's a standing ovation and I go like, oh my God, thank you. He's like, that's value. When I have the speech and I know I'm clever and I know I'm smart and I just deliver the speech and there's a standing ovation and I go like, yes, I did it. Yes, me. He's like, I know it's my ego. So I just took value away from these people. Because what is the actual value they got? I got proof. I got evidence that I'm the great speaker. But what did they get? What? They got to cheer me on? And what? What do they take away? Was I even really connected? Or was I doing it to up my ego? So when you want to be liked, or you want to be right, or you don't want to upset the person in readings, you take away from the value. And you take away from the channel, because now your human is trying to do the channeling and it doesn't work. Now I want this client to buy from me again. How can I frame this card in a way that sounds like buy more from me? You can't. What's the channel message? I don't know the channel message. I just want her to like me. Okay, you're not even connecting to the channel. You're on the human level and the human's trying to do the channeling and the human can't, because the human is not the channel. The human is the human and the channel is the channel. So what is the channel saying? I don't know. Tap in. What is the channel? Oh, the channel is saying there's an issue. Okay. How can you deliver it in a way that has value for the person? There's always a lesson. There's always a value. And you definitely can put it on the client to discover this value. Like, hey, this is what's coming up. So I would look at this area. I would look at that area. And I would decide how you want to proceed and what you want to change. Yes, absolutely. That's great. That ignites inner work that can create positive change. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to know what the channeling is about. You don't have to know their personal situations. You don't have to go and do extensive research to know the names of their pets and their husbands and their kids so that you sound like you know it. I never do that. I never look at another person's profile or who they are. Sometimes I don't know the name. Sometimes I don't know the gender of who the requested the reading. Sometimes all I have is the email address and it sounds like 554 Summer Lane 90. Like, who is that? I don't know. I don't need to. I don't need to know who the person is. I don't need to know what's going on in their life. I can just channel. But then how do I deliver it? That's the relationship aspect. That's the connection aspect. How do I deliver a speech? I have no speech. I have no point to make. I can just stand and run my mouth and everyone's going to be on their phone and disconnect. Or I can share something that connects me emotionally to them. And maybe I don't have a point, but at least I have a connection there. How can I deliver live? How can there be connection? How can I deliver a reading? How can there be value? The channel will come through if you let it. If you're not overly human about it, the channel will come through. Sometimes you won't like the message. You're like, I don't know how to tell this message. Especially early on, when you emerge as a professional reader, you will be tested on that. I have been tested many times prior to where I am. Right now, rarely happens. Still happens sometimes, but very rarely. When I was starting, it was like every reading was like this. How in the world could I ever say this to a person who just paid me? Like, they're gonna hate me. And then I'm like, okay, whoa. Okay, how can I not say this? They paid for it. How can I not give them the lesson that came through for them? What if they need the lesson? What if that's the reason they're talking to me? It probably is. Okay, how can I make it a lesson instead of a statement, or instead of a comment or judgment or a remark? How can I make it less philosophical, nonsense, and more like what to do with this message, where to look, and here's when we're going to transition into coach and mentor tomorrow, because we're going to look at channeling in coaching. So this is where your ability to make a lesson out of a message is very, very important. So we will look at that tomorrow. But for today, there's an assignment. And here's a little thing. When you channel, your human is responsible for the expression, for the delivery, for the how little you obscure the clarity of the channel. Can you obscure it as little as possible? Now, here's something about water. You can put a water in the bottle. You can take the bottle, pour the water in the glass. You can put a straw in the glass and sip the water through the straw out of the glass. That's a lot of different forms. So the form, the bottle, the straw, I don't know how else to do. The form does not change the water. You get my point. The form does not change the water. You put a water in the bottle, you pour the water in the glass, you sip the water with a straw from the glass. Does the water change in all of this? No, nope. But does the container change? Yes. First it's in the bottle, then it's in the glass, then it's in the straw, then it's in your mouth, and now it's in your body. Traveling. Right? The water has not changed. Same with the channel. The deeper you trust, the clearer you channel. The clearer you channel, the clearer the channeling, right? So then you receive the channel for someone else. How can you put it in a form that will serve the client without changing the quality of the channel? How can you present it in the glass without adding stuff to it for flavor that the client didn't ask for? How can you not make the water Diet Coke in the process or coffee? How can you just keep it water, clear, and put it in a container that serves the client? That's the question. Because the form does not change the water. The water remains the water. But the form, hey, if you put it in a bottle, if you guys, any beer drinkers here, if you get a bottle, if you're a woman, you get a bottle at a bar. Sometimes you're like, yeah, well, I'll take a bottle. Sometimes you're like, I would like a cold glass because I don't want to do this thing. If you get a sparkling water in the bottle, right? And you're like, I would like a glass, I think, because I don't want to carry this huge thing and go like, okay, so the bottle might not be the best. Okay, the glass sounds good. If you put a straw in there, that's even easier to drink, right? So how can you make it easier for the client to take in the channeled message without changing the channeled message? How can you put it in a container that works best? How can you frame it? How can you make it valuable? How can you make it easier to take in without changing the substance? So I'm going to leave you with that because this is a big thing. This is a very big thing. Now, the exercise for today, the exercise for today. So this is going to be interesting. This is going to be interesting. This is not for everyone. This is for those of you who really want to do the next level thing, right? Okay, so I will open myself up, and I don't do this often. I'm very selective with the people that I receive readings from. I will just let you know that. But for the sake of this container, you will have double homework. So number one, you will repeat the channeling homework that you already did. You're going to do it another session for yourself. Just another session. Just do it more. One more. And the second part of the homework, you're going to finish that session, and then you're going to go to this group, look at some videos, look at some pictures, look at my own, go through my profile, look at some of my pictures if that helps, tap into my energy, and channel something for me. Now, I know this might sound a little strange. You're like, okay, well, you're a pretty good channeler, but I don't know. I'm just getting started. What could I possibly say? It's not you. It's not you saying it. So I wouldn't even worry about that. Because we can have a conversation here in the comments and on the lives. And that's you and I talking, right? But can you channel for me? Because this is what I'm doing. So for the next 24 hours, I will hold my energetic space open for you to tap into and channel for me. I don't do it often. There is really no point in doing it whatsoever, actually. I will be doing it in our 8-day private coaching hybrid coaching intensive. We will be doing that, and we will be doing that to each other. But for the sake of this controlled 3-day experience, I'm just going to open myself up for the next 24 hours. If you miss this homework, you miss this homework. If you miss 24 hours, you just miss it. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. But if you want to practice, you can channel for me. And this is your next lesson. First of all, if you miss the homework, sometimes somehow you're watching this way later and you're like, it's just totally been more than 24 hours. Just show up for yourself and channel again. Do the homework for yourself. Just do it again, okay? So that's just leave it at that. But if you're here within 24 hours, you're here in the live, you're watching this within 24 hours before the next module drops, before day 3, I invite you to take this time, show up for yourself, channel for yourself, then tap into my energy and channel for me. Don't worry about you knowing, not knowing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's channeling. It's not you. It's not, you don't have to have the answers. Now, delivery. What if it's one word? What if it's a sentence? What if it's a paragraph? What if who knows what happens? What if it's a drawing? What if it's a dance, right? How can you deliver this to me? How can you deliver this to me? Ask yourself this. Whatever comes through, set it aside. The moment it's done, just like with your personal exercises, moment it's done, finish line, okay, set it aside, walk away, revisit when some time passes, look at it and go, okay, how can this be a lesson that I could communicate? How could this be a lesson that I could communicate? How could this be something of value? And I want you to not just share it with me, but share it with the whole group. How can this, in general, how can this be a lesson? How can this be a reminder? How can this be an affirmation? How can this be a quote? How does this remind me of my own stories? What does this remind me of? Think about it. You're not changing the water. You're not changing the message. You're not writing in things that you didn't get. That's not what I want you to do. But how can, whatever, even if it's just one word, a letter, anything, how can you create value? How can you put it in a container that it's easy to drink from? So that's your homework. I will make a post to recap that. If this is it, I think it's actually longer than it was yesterday. Basically, I said it's going to be shorter. It's actually longer. Great. Here's my fortune telling skills for you. So anyway, so we're going to wrap up. So if you're complete, if this is it, this is a lot to take in. Feel free to revisit these videos. If you provided your email, you will get them lifetime access to everything in this group. So you can go through them whenever you want, however many times you need. The only time sensitive things we've got are the offers and the homeworks, okay? So, because they only make sense while you're part of this experience. So the homework we're straightened out with. The the offers. So I've had actually two beautiful friends of mine, two beautiful women inside of this beautiful masterclass sign up for things already. So I'm very much celebrating them. I do want to mention that the 8-day private coaching intensive is something where we will be doing a lot of this practice. We will be going into all the different clairs, as we mentioned yesterday, the channeling, the psychokinesis, the precognition, the telepathy, like all of that. We will be going into depth. So there will be modules covering each one of these things throughout the 8 days. We will be going deeper into channeling for each other. There's going to be a lot of one-on-one coaching going. And it's really based on what you would like to use channeling for. Would you like to use it for content? Would you like to use it for writing? Would you like to use it for working with clients? Would you like to use it in your coaching? Would you like to be a professional reader? Whatever you want to do, we will focus on that and we will do the work to get you aligned. There's also the group coaching component where we work with each other. There are group tasks, there's assignments that you get to have others participate with. You get to channel for them, they get to channel for you. You get to co-channel, there's this mastermind experience where you connect all of the collective energies of everyone in this intensive and we channel together. This is very next level. I'm not even going to touch on this in this masterclass. It's really, really next level. Okay, so there's a lot of behind the scenes on this. If you know this is for you, reach out, let me know, we will figure it out. That 8-day, 8 group coaching days, 8 private coaching days, and 8 modules, all happening within the scope of 8 days. That starts on July 22nd. The price for that is $888. If you need a payment plan, that can be arranged. The terms don't really matter to me much. Okay, so that's one. So I really want to highlight this one because if you want to take this work somewhere specific, this might be a good option to consider. If you have specific designs for the channeling in your life, in your business, in your however you want to use it, this might be a thing to consider. Another thing that I keep referring to is the tarot course. If you want to learn the archetypes, if you want to learn the basis of how psychology works, not just psychology, but behaviors and patterns and relationships between the elements, so tarot is very complex. There's the language of tarot. There's a language that it is. There's the numerology. There's the astrology. There's the elemental relationships, fire, water, air, earth. There is the kind of court roles, king, queen, page, knight. They represent every aspect of ourselves. Masculine, feminine, student, and doer. There's such a incredible depth of wisdom. We're just basically getting started. We're about halfway through Major Arcana, getting close. So that's about a quarter of the course. So there are 44 total modules, and the course is currently 2222. But if you would like to do a bundle, you get the tarot course, the intensive, and my upcoming channel mentor coach program for 2555. There are payment plans for that as well. One of the options is $250, $550 a month for 10 months. So just to give you kind of an idea. And then of course the channel mentor coach is something that I'm extremely excited about. And I did want to go a little bit into the background, okay? So, because I haven't really revealed much about this program. So the background is I'm currently working with 3 different mentors on how to deepen my coaching. And I am receiving the level of support and tools and kind of question answer type access that has never been available to me in my life before. So what happens when I'm integrating something on my end and I also emerge and I decide to teach my own understanding plus my realizations going through this work actively, what happens is phenomenal because you have access to me, and through me you have access to the next level above me, which is my mentors. The women I work with, 2 of them are millionaires, another one's getting very close. Money doesn't define everything, but the volume of the work that they do and the volume of the level of people they work with, how many people are plugged into their energy and their level of performance blows my mind. It's very next level compared to me. And I might feel like I'm next level compared to where you are, But imagine being plugged into next level and the next level above that, and then some, a lot of, because they're not just a few steps ahead of me, they're a lot of steps ahead of me. And I'm learning from the best of the best. And I also have some of the most profound, integrated realizations that have shaped my life, my business at the hardest time, which was very recently, where I could not show up for myself, and it was very difficult to do, but I could show up for my clients, and I could channel, and I could still coach, and I could draw on the experience that I'm going through while I'm going through it, and deliver wisdom that is unmatched to anything I have ever experienced. So if you want to learn how to be a coach, a mentor, and most importantly, a channel in all of this, in mentorship and in coaching, and you want to learn it from me, and you want the channeling component, but you also want the coaching and the mentorship component to really take your business to the next level, just know that this program, it's me 100%. And then it's also me being plugged into next level above me, and the next level above me, and the many levels above me. Because while I'm taking these trainings, while I'm working through these programs, I also have access to other women who are doing this with me, and we kind of back and forth with each other, brainstorming and coming up with solutions. So the levels are beyond what you see. It's not just my level, it's the levels above that I'm plugged into, and you get access to all. You get access to me, and you get access to them, and you can calibrate. And what calibrate means is when you're tapped into something very next level, and there's a next level and next level and next level, you get to calibrate to the next levels without going through all the levels step by step, because you're tapped in. And that's how feminine energy works. That's how channeling works. You calibrate to the energy. I become a better channel when I'm working with really advanced channels, because I'm tapped into their clarity of channeling, and it rubs off on me. I believe that. It's real. It's true. Because I have that level of support. Someone is channeling for me on that level. It brings my own channeling level way up. So the Channel Mentor Coach program begins on July 17th. And it's 3 weeks. We start with a channel. We go into mentor. We go into coach. It's a group coaching container. Here's a little more details. It has not been publicly released. It is only available at the price that it's at, which is $11.11. It's only available here in this group. When I actually launch it, it's going to be a different price, and it's going to be higher. I will let you know. I was not intended to be launched at $11.11. It was intended to be launched at a higher price, but I decided to make it available here for this experience. Now, if you really resonate with this and you want to add the intensive, the bundle for Channel Mentor Coach, and the 8-day, 8-module, 8 private days, 8 group coaching days, and 8 modules, these two together is $15.55 or $1,555. It can be as low as $155.50 per month for 10 months. So just wanted to give you the options. Okay, my friends, if you have any questions, reach out, let me know. I want to read the comments before I jump off. But if you have any questions about the offers and you just want to know, just reach out and I will let you know. There's no pressure, weirdness, are you going to buy? Like, I just don't do that. And I hate when people do that. So I don't do that. So just know that. If you have questions, legitimately you have questions, you just want to know, there is no strings attached to just knowing. So wanted to make that clear. Oh my gosh, I channeled for a pregnant mom and spoke to her baby girl. That is so next level. Oh my goodness. Wow, that is a gift right there. That's Sophia. Sophia, wow, thank you so much for sharing this. Okay. Amy says, oh my God, that's me. I remember what I was talking about. So yeah, listen, I wouldn't know if it wasn't me at some point. So I wouldn't know the contrast. And I'm sorry, you guys, it's super dark now, out of nowhere. Like, I felt like it was pretty light when we were getting started, and now it's like, whatever. It's too late to fix the lighting now. Thank you so much, Joanna. I appreciate you. I'm so happy you're here and enjoying this experience. Karen says, enjoy the session. Gratitude to you for all your wonderful sharing. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for being here and investing your time in this experience. And I'm so excited that you're seeing the value in it. Carolina, Is that right? Garcia says, I love everything. You're too cute. I love you. Thank you. I love you too. That's so sweet. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Rose says, grateful for today's masterclass. Thank you for your interpretations. Makes it easy for me to grasp. Ooh, I love that. Thank you so much for saying that. So yes, so I want to, you guys will have lifetime access to this masterclass after it's over. And I will send you like emails with permanent links. But my idea is to have this as like time investment only opportunity for those to come. So I want to have this masterclass where someone comes into my world and they're like, I'm not ready to invest into, like, I'm not ready to do anything next level. I just want something. I want something. I want to start somewhere. I want to send them this experience. I want to have this gift permanently available to whoever needs it, seeks it, wants it. So that's why my goal is for this when it's over, so I can edit out all the parts that are time sensitive, offer related, comments related, and it can just be like this standalone opportunity to just learn for those who really desire to. So that's my vision. Okay, so thank you so much for this. How do you keep yourself a clear channel? Take care of the human. Take care of the human, because sometimes my human doesn't want to be on board. So a little bit with that we covered yesterday. In order to do the homework, get your human to show up, whether it's a snack, whether it's a bath, whether it's a workout, whether it's a meal, whether it's a cup of coffee, whether it's a few minutes just to be quiet and then do it, right? You get the human to get on board, but when the human's not taken care of, when I'm having the hard time, I still can get to be a clear channel. But if I don't do what the human wants, like if I'm hungry and I'm sad and tired and I really want to take a long bath, I'm gonna reschedule so I can do the bath first probably, or I'm gonna somehow try to push it around. Now that's not squeaky clean. Something that I work on continuously and haven't really progressed in. A little human flaw for you, my friends, to share with me in, is punctuality. It's just so, I'm so, especially when I'm channeling or I'm getting ready to channel something very next level, like the time doesn't exist. Like it's just, I know it does, but it just doesn't. And it's just like so hard to make myself like worry about like the 5-minute difference or like the 60-minute, like I can't do both. I can't be channel and be inside of time being very punctual. It's a huge struggle for me. So sometimes in order to be a clear channel, I have to say it's not happening today, or like it's happening in an hour, because I don't want to show up and be a subpar channel. To me, being a subpar channel or not being able to turn off my human to really channel and being punctual is like, I'd rather not even do it. Because like, okay, I can be punctual, but what's the value, right? What's the actual value? Is it just crap? Then I'm wasting my time and someone else's, right? So I'm working on it. It's a compromise, because, you know, people value punctuality, and so do I. And if someone says they're going to do something at some time and then they don't, it kind of annoys me. But then I have to make peace with like, well, I do that too. So it's a balance. It's a work in progress. But to remain a clear channel, you got to take care of the human. Even when the human's feeling off, you don't want to do it, give the human something. It's like, it's a human in this case is a little bit like a kid. Like, okay, you don't want to go to this class. Well, how about I get you a little cookie? Will that make it? No. Okay, well, how about we go have ice cream after school? Okay, let's do it. You got to talk to your human in a way that makes it worth for the human. Because you see, the human is not really involved in the channeling. So the human knows that you're trying to get it to show up for something your human mind and consciousness and blah, 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 is not really going to have any place to weigh in. So how do you convince the human to surrender to the channel? And what does the human want for that? And usually what you will want is more self-care, which you want anyway. And it's like, yeah, I'll show up and I channel, but just please give me 5 minutes to drink this cup of coffee, please. I just want. And you're like, okay, human, here's your 5 minutes and here's your cup of coffee. We're doing this in 5. Okay, let's go. It's like a you and the channel, because in order to connect with the channel, you gotta set aside the human. And the human is like, what about me though? You've been setting me aside all day today anyway. And now you want to channel? Are you kidding me? Where's my meal? You haven't fed me. It's been like 3 hours past lunch. Are you kidding me? And now you want to channel? No. I'm going to tell you a bunch of crap. I'm going to tell you you're going to fail at your launch. And you should have done laundry sooner. That's your channel. Here's what you get for treating me like this. Because your body's not going to get out of the way. Your mind's not going to get out of the way unless it knows that you're genuinely meeting it halfway. Like, okay, you'll let me channel. I'll actually show up for you. Okay, we got this. It's like an agreement. Shalene says, grateful for being blessed to be in your energy and wisdom. Thank you so much. Shalene is in my private coaching intensive and we've had the most amazing time together. And I don't want to say goodbye. Tomorrow's technically our last day, but I hope we can collaborate again. She's amazing. She's like the dream client. She's like so next level. Just wow. Still can't believe some clients that I get to work with. I can't believe that's the level of clients I get. I'm like, am I even worthy? But I know I am. But it's like just like, is this real? And that is. And I'm so grateful. Okay, smiles all around, hugs to all, fascinating. Thank you so much, Joanna. Okay, so I hope I've answered your question, Amy. So glad I found you. You're freaking amazing. It's really, thank you. Okay, you guys, I'm jumping off. I gotta go get something to fix for dinner, and then I will see you tomorrow. I will recap the homework. I will keep my channel open so you can calibrate to it and you can channel for me. Now, you might be surprised that if you're channeling for me and something a little more intense comes through, don't be surprised because that's how channeling works. Your channel taps into the channel of the other messages because they would have no benefit from those. You're channeling them their messages and your channel makes it possible. But it's their messages for them. So how do you present it? What vessel do you put it in? How do you pour it into a drinkable ware, right? So that's the tricky part of the homework. So I will see you tomorrow for day 3. We got our last day. Tomorrow's going to be gold. It's going to be about coaching. So if you're a coach, don't miss that one. If you want to be a coach, don't miss that one. If you're just thinking about maybe one day you might want to be a coach, don't miss day 3. Okay, my friends, I will see you tomorrow.